Hello, everyone. My name is Lori Brazili. I am a technology data and analytics career coach at the University Career Center, and I also serve as the Career Center liaison to CCI. And so I am here to share some information with you about CCI internship strategies, and also to let you know about how we can support you in the University Career Center during your internship search. So I have a counterpart. Me and Jesse Simonik are the technology data and analytics career coaches. So we are here as your point of contact if you need support, one-on-one support in coaching. We are available both virtually and in person. And so you can schedule a career coaching appointment through Hire a Niner and connect with us that way. So this is the agenda. First, we're going to define what an internship is, and then we're going to review step-by-step process for conducting an internship search. And finally, we're going to provide you with a list of UCC resources that will support you during this process. So an internship is a professional paid experience at a company. It allows you to obtain real-world on-the-job skill sets that employers are looking for in graduates as they are entering the workforce. So you can kind of think of this as an opportunity to get project-based work experience where you're working on projects that really can impact the company that you're interning at. It's also an opportunity for you to connect with a potential mentor. Through that internship experience, you'll be working with a supervisor at the company that will help kind of be your guide along the way. So it's a great chance for you to learn firsthand about an industry that you're interested in. It allows you to make connections with professionals at the company and potentially outside of that organization within industry. And it's a chance for you to learn about different job functions within a company and at a specific industry. In terms of timeline, generally internships are pursued by college students after their first year, but it could potentially be obtained earlier. It just kind of depends. In terms of computer science students, most of the time, depending on the opportunity, employers are wanting to have candidates that have some knowledge of computer science fundamentals. So once you get to that data structures class and through that class, then typically you're ready to pursue more of a technology type of internship. But that's not always the case. So do keep in mind that there are always exceptions to the rule. In terms of the time commitment that you're looking at, internships, particularly during the summer, tend to be full-time. So you can expect 30 to 40 hours per week. Now, during the semester, the fall or the spring, there may be some flexibility. It may be more of a part-time commitment, 15 to 20 hours a week. So again, it's just going to depend on that particular employer. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware of the typical summer internship recruitment cycle. We get this question a lot by students, and I think it's important to kind of have an awareness of what companies do in terms of recruiting for summer internships in particular. Now, do keep in mind that this is going to vary by company and by industry, but a lot of companies, especially a lot of larger organizations that bring in classes of interns during the summer, tend to do their main recruitment in the fall semester. So you'll see job postings for internships in Hire a Niner as early as July and August that are for summer internships. So if that is the case, then interviews are often going to be conducted mid to late fall semester, and then you could potentially even receive an offer for the summer before winter break in December. Now, do keep in mind that companies may have a later timeline, and so they could finish their recruitment early to mid-spring. And just so that you're aware, summer internships usually run May or June until August. So it definitely is something that is kind of a commitment for the most part that entire summer. Now, like I mentioned, this is just an example of a recruitment cycle that we see a lot within kind of companies that are recruiting for technology operations types of roles, but there are a lot of companies, especially small to mid-size organizations, that recruit year-round and may not follow this typical internship recruitment cycle. So I want to talk through kind of the step-by-step in how you would go through starting your internship search. And we're looking at start thinking about this 6 to 8 months before your desired role. So you want to prepare yourself, and you also want to do some self-reflection. So you want to think about your motivation behind doing an internship. And so again, just to kind of recap, the internship is an opportunity for you to learn about an industry and to gain insight into an employer's organizational culture, to try out the job function. It allows you to add experience to your resume, gain professional skills, and also make connections. So there are a lot of benefits to doing an internship, and we really encourage students to have at least one internship on their resume before they graduate, because employers are looking for that experience. But also think about what you hope to gain from the experience, and that'll help you as you're kind of moving through this planning process. So you definitely want to plan in advance. So again, just taking a look back at the timeline, 6 to 8 months before your desired role. There is planning that goes involved. And so you want to treat your internship search like you would a job search. And so a job search is, something that takes a lot of energy to conduct. And it's the same thing with your internship search. So this is almost preparing you to do your full-time job search. So you definitely want to create a plan to stay organized. That's really important. We recommend that you keep track of all the details of the applications that you're submitting. And then also that you copy and paste the internship description into a separate document. So just kind of a pro tip, when you're looking at descriptions and you're applying for jobs, go ahead and copy that description into like a Google Doc so that you have it, because once the job posting closes, a lot of times the employer takes down the posting and you can't actually go back and look at the job description. So it makes it harder for you as you're preparing for interviews and things like that if you don't have the internship description. So make sure that you kind of have some sort of way of organizing all the different aspects of the applications that you're submitting, and then the internships that you're actually applying for. And I'll show you an example of what that looks like here in a minute. So I think it's important too to just think about some goal setting. And so one thing to keep in mind with that is that it's important that you set aside time to dedicate to your job search. So as a student, you hopefully have a planner or a calendar, Google Calendar, some sort of way of organizing your daily schedule, whether that's going to class, group meetings, sleeping, eating, all the things that you have to do to remain organized during your daily schedule. And so you probably don't have internship search or job search kind of already blocked in your calendar. So that would be step one, would be to set aside time to dedicate to your job search. It can be 1 hour a day, or, you can block times during the week, whatever works best for you. But you want to think about the times of the day that you're most productive. So I know for me, I'm really productive early in the morning. And then once it gets to the afternoon, I tend to be less productive. So I know that about myself. So I always block off time in the morning hours to get things done that I need to get done. But also think about the type of environment that you need in order to be successful. So do you need to kind of be surrounded by people, or do you need to be alone, kind of, in a space by yourself? So think about those things that you need to be successful. And then also, what support tools do you need in order to carry out this internship search? And so that may be supports from the University Career Center. It may be support from friends and family, from an advisor. Just think through those tools and make sure that you are utilizing them as you're kind of going through this process. And so kind of keeping those things in mind, I recommend developing SMART goals and creating an action plan. And so the important thing about the goal setting is that when you think about the goal of finding an internship for the summer, it's a pretty lofty goal. And there are so many different steps that you need to take in order to kind of reach that goal. And so breaking down those goals kind of maybe on a weekly basis can make it seem, a little less daunting. And having a plan to help you reach those goals is going to be key for you in goal attainment. And so the SMART goal framework is a really great framework to work within. And that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So you want to make sure that your goals are specific, that you can measure them, that they're realistic and attainable, that they are relevant to you, because if the goal does not mean anything to you, then you're going to be less likely to achieve it. And that there's some sort of time associated with it. You need to have a deadline, whether that is, a week out, 2 weeks out, a month, 6 months, whatever the case may be. And so breaking your job search down into mini goals is really, really helpful in order to be, motivated throughout the entire process. So when you're thinking about an action plan to attaining your goal, your action plan is kind of your roadmap. So you want to make sure when you're creating your action plan, you list what your goal is, when you want to achieve it by, the resources that you may need to achieve it, and any challenges and barriers that you may anticipate that could potentially get into the way of achieving the goal, and then how you're going to address those potential barriers. And we have an example here that I'm going to pull up that we can go through. So this is an example of kind of a mini goal that's associated with an internship search. So the example is applying to 2 software development internship openings by September 15th, 2021. So you can see the goal is really specific. We're identifying software development internship openings. And then also we're putting a number associated with it. So 2, so that makes it pretty attainable and measurable. And then the time frame by September 15th, 2021 is when you have the deadline. And so that is kind of what you want to work under in terms of that deadline. So resources potentially that you could use to find and apply to 2 software development internship openings would be Hire a Niner. And this is the main job portal for UNC Charlotte. So any employer that wants to recruit students and alumni from UNC Charlotte must post there. And that includes CCI business partners as well. So you'll find all of those opportunities in Hire a Niner. LinkedIn is a really great resource as well. DICE and other kind of niche job boards can be helpful. So DICE is a tech-specific job board. And then also you're going to want to make sure that you have your resume and cover letter and LinkedIn profile critiqued by the UCC, that you're attending CCI business partner events, career fairs, and other events that are going on during the semester. So those are just some examples of resources. In terms of challenges and barriers you could potentially face, there is obviously that lack of motivation. You may not be feeling motivated, one day. And that's, certainly understandable. We all go through those periods. You might be struggling with finding job postings for whatever reason. You could potentially be nervous about networking. These are all things that are challenges and can potentially pose a barrier for attaining your goal. But a lot of times with these challenges and barriers, there are ways of addressing those. And so if you're not feeling motivated, one idea would be to have an accountability partner. It could be, somebody in your family. It could be a friend or another student that's also working on their internship search. It could be an advisor, whoever you lean on when you need support. It's also helpful to have maybe a mini reward system. So, celebrate the small victories. And then also you can, if you're going to, if you meet the goal, then maybe you'll, go to the movies with your friends one night or whatever the case may be. And you can also set up a career coaching appointment with us in the University Career Center. And that's why we're here. We're here to kind of help support you and motivate you and just help you with whatever challenge that you might be working through. And then networking, of course, is huge. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. So step 2 is about preparing your marketing materials. And so again, this is 6 to 8 months before your desired role. And in terms of marketing materials, there's several kind of different iterations that we're going to just kind of briefly touch on. Obviously, you're going to have a resume. And so we would recommend that you have tailored resumes for the different types of positions that you're applying for. We have some resources for technical resume writing in our career guide, and then also on the technology, data, and analytics career community website. And then we would recommend that you have at least one cover letter template in case you need to submit a cover letter with your internship application. And then that template also you'll want to tailor for the particular position that you're applying for. So in terms of resources from our office to help you, we do have drop-in hours every day, Monday through Friday. At the time of this presentation, we're operating on a hybrid kind of operation. And so what that means is we do work with students who want to come into our office physically between the hours of 11 and 1 are our drop-in hours. And then we can also meet with students virtually over Zoom or WebEx between that time as well. We also offer one-on-one individual career coaching appointments, like I mentioned before. Those tend to be about 60 minutes with a career coach. Again, it could be in person or virtually. And then our career guide, which I will show you later on in the presentation, is a really great resource. There is an resume writing section with example resumes, different types of sections that you may see on your resume, that sort of thing. And then we do have the example cover letter with the template. And then we've actually written a cover letter specifically for a job posting so that you can see what a tailored cover letter looks like. So definitely make sure that you have your resume and then a cover letter as part of your marketing materials. In terms of social media presence, this is really, really important. About 70% of recruiters tell us that they do check applicants' social media platforms during the hiring process. So you want to make sure that you are aware of what you're posting out there on social media, whether that is on Instagram or Twitter, if you have a Facebook, whatever outlets you use, if they are open and not private, you definitely want to make sure that you're aware of kind of what you're posting out there, because you don't want your social media presence to be a reason why you might not get asked to interview at an organization or you might not get hired. But on the flip side of this, it's also important that you have a social media presence to a certain extent. And so I would recommend, that you have at least a LinkedIn profile. That's really, really important. A lot of recruiters source candidates on LinkedIn. And so your LinkedIn essentially is like your resume, but it goes a little bit deeper. And there are so many different ways that you can strategically use the platform to aid in making connections, to following companies that you might want to engage with, to learn about organizations. And then also they have a job search kind of platform built in to LinkedIn that allows you to do an internship in job search. So social media presence is definitely part of taking stock of your marketing materials, and this is part of your brand. So it's important that you keep these things in mind. And there's the LinkedIn there. So additional suggestions in terms of your marketing materials. So again, building your LinkedIn profile is huge. We can provide a LinkedIn profile critique for you through our drop-ins, or you can also have a career coach like me or Jesse look at your LinkedIn during our coaching session. The other thing that we offer in the Career Center is we do offer free LinkedIn headshots. And I know CCI has also done that before at other events. So make sure that you have a professional headshot on LinkedIn. Most people are going to be more willing to reach out to you and respond to you if you're trying to engage with them when there's actually a photo attached to it. So not a selfie, but something that's really, really professional. We would also encourage you to create a GitHub or a Kaggle if you are, wanting to drive people to see different projects that you've worked on, and you want people to see, your code and that sort of thing. You're going to want to have that linked to your resume on your LinkedIn profile and those sorts of things. Same thing if you have an online portfolio or anything that you're wanting to drive people to in the way of employers and recruiters to see your work. And so this can be really, really useful in including on your resume and your cover letter and on your LinkedIn profile. You're going to want to create a 10-second introduction to use when you're meeting people, and then a 30-second kind of elevator pitch or commercial to use in interviews and to use at networking events and career fairs and things like that. And so we can help you with crafting those things, but this is all part of you communicating your brand. And then you're going to want to have a networking introduction email, kind of just a template to go to as you're reaching out to people for informational interviews, coffee chats, whatnot during your internship search. So work with us on all of the above, and we can help you with that. Okay, so getting into the application process, this is about 4 to 6 months before the desired role. You definitely want to start researching companies. And so you want to make a company target list. And so these can be dream employers. If you had a list of dream companies that you would want to work for, put them on your list. You never know. We have companies like Microsoft and Google and Amazon, that are recruiting UNC Charlotte students. So they might be some of your dream companies. But also the CCI Business Partners program, if you go to the website, the CCI website in particular, you can actually see all the business partners because their logos are on the website. And so that's a really great way to create a target company list, because then you have kind of a centralized, place to see who's part of that program. You can also look at employers who recruit at UNCC through Hire a Niner. You can find that information through our First Destination Outcome Survey. So that is on the Career Center website. You can see for the past 4 years, the top employers that are recruiting CCI students specifically. So that gives you another opportunity to get like a soft lead. And then also LinkedIn makes it really easy to identify UNC Charlotte alumni through the system, through the database, and you can find where they're working. So again, it's another way to identify companies. So those are some resources potentially that you have available to you to create a target company list. And that could be anywhere from 15 to 25 companies. And so you want to research those companies. Vault is a really great resource that we offer students. You can access it through our website and also through Hire a Niner, but it's a career and industry database, and you can find a lot of information about different companies that you may not necessarily get if you were to just go to their website, for example. And so it's a way for you to research companies and to find out if it's a company that you might be interested in and that sort of thing. So as you're making a list, you also want to research these companies to see if it's, a company that you potentially would want to intern for. So now I'm going to take you through some kind of technology job search engines. And like I said, just some resources for finding those in terms of online job boards. Like I said, Hire a Niner should be your top kind of go-to tool because that's where employers have to post their job and internship openings if they want to recruit UNC Charlotte students. So that's across the board. So make sure that you're using Hire a Niner. In order to apply for an internship or a job in Hire a Niner, you have to have your first resume approved through the system. And so our staff is always looking at those resumes every day. The Hire a Niner site gives you all of the information that you need in order to get your first resume approved. And so if you need assistance with that, you can reach out to me or Jesse. But once you get that first resume approved, then you can upload as many resumes, cover letters, other documents that you may need to Hire9er in order to apply for your desired roles. Like I mentioned, also LinkedIn is a great source to find openings, and then technology job search engines like dice.com, techladies.com, Big Data Jobs, Just Tech Jobs are just a sample of niche job boards that are only going to have tech related positions. So these are things that you can use in addition to some other strategies that we'll talk about. When you're tracking your positions that you're applying for, or tracking any sort of networking contacts and conversations that you're having, we would recommend that you use like an Excel spreadsheet, or you can create a Google sheet just so that you can keep track of everything. So you want to know, who's the company, what's the job title, what's the link to the posting, who's the contact, when the closing date of the application is, when you applied, any references you may have listed on the application, if you've done an interview and where you are in that stage, if you're interested, and then questions that you may ask for the employer. So these are just kind of like baseline items that you may want to keep track of. So this will just help you, because if you're applying for a lot of roles and you get a call from a recruiter that wants to talk to you right away, it's going to be in your benefit to have all the information up on your computer, or whatever you're using, your tablet, so that you are kind of aware of the position and everything that you're talking about if somebody just happens to contact you via phone. So I wanted to focus a little bit on networking. So in terms of your job search strategy energy, about 70 to 80% of your energy should really be spent on networking. The other 20 to 30% is really about applying to jobs, working on the applications and that sort of thing. So the reason why networking is so important is because when employers want to hire people, they want to hire people that have credibility and that the industry trusts. And so it's not necessarily about who you know, but it's about who knows you. And so getting your name out there. And the only way that you can do that is through networking. And so the great thing that's a benefit to you as a student, within CCI and then at UNC Charlotte, is that between our office and CCI, there's a ton of opportunities for you to network and make connections. And so I encourage you to attend CCI Business Partners events and career fairs every semester, because those business partners want to connect with you, and they're there to share information about their organization and what it's like to work at their company, and to tell you about, the employment opportunities that exist. So that's why they are there. So take advantage of those opportunities, because once you graduate, it just becomes harder to get connected, right? So take advantage while you're here. Also attend any UCC sponsored career fairs. So we normally do a STEM fair in the fall and the spring. So that's going to be focused on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then we also have a fall fair and a spring internship and career fair. We plan career treks. So that's kind of like an adult field trip, if you will, to a company where you can kind of get a behind the scenes tour, meet with company leadership. Normally we set up a panel of UNC Charlotte alumni that talk about working at that organization and their experience and what they do and those sorts of things. So this past semester, we had a couple of virtual career treks to Ally and Amazon Web Services. So those were all virtual experiences, but it was still very beneficial for students that attended. We also do a lot of career meetups where we will invite industry professionals and employers to come share their expertise about something in particular related to technology. So it may be the gaming industry or IT, software engineering, it just kind of depends. So that's a good opportunity for you to potentially connect with somebody that is working in a role that you might want to work in. And so by making those connections initially, that can start to develop a networking relationship where you might be able to learn about internships and careers and that sort of thing. And so just continue to attend CCI sponsored events with employers and industry professionals. We would recommend that you also attend the career fair crash course events that we do. That's going to basically give you information on how to successfully work a career fair and what to say to employers and how to follow up and that sort of thing. We also have employers that host employer information sessions and other recruiting events. So those are great opportunities to network and connect. And then participate in any industry related events like going to conferences, hackathons, symposiums, those sorts of things. I know CCI is really great in that they've provided funding for students in the past to attend conferences. There's also a lot of free opportunities as well. So I would just take advantage of those. Anywhere that is going to be gathering industry professionals within technology or within kind of where you want to be, whatever space that looks like, I would definitely recommend being in those spaces. All right, so kind of moving forward here. So step 5, and this is again like 2 to 4 months before your desired role, continue the previous steps that I've outlined, but then also you want to start interviewing practice, because practice or interviewing is actually part of your internship strategy, right? So practice behavioral interviewing through Big Interview. It's a platform that you have access to 24/7. And so there's lots of different interview curriculum that you can go through. There are a lot of videos. You can actually find job function specific interview questions. So if you wanted to practice interviewing for a Java developer, for example, you would be able to find a list of questions that you could potentially get asked in that type of interview. So again, that's through the Big Interview platform. And then we have our mock interview program where you can do a mock interview either with a career coach, which is a 30-minute kind of practice interview. And then we also have employers that volunteer their time to conduct mock interviews as well. And then I know CCI has a mock interview event that they generally do with business partners. So take advantage of all of those opportunities. The more that you practice interviewing, the more comfortable that you're going to be with talking about yourself and answering questions and that sort of thing. I would also recommend that you practice for online and whiteboard technical assessments, because, if you're interviewing for a technical role, a lot of times technical assessment is going to be part of that process at least one time within the interview process. So again, you want to make sure that you know your computer science fundamentals, data structures, algorithms, those sorts of things, that you can talk about a project that you've completed, a tech project that you've completed. And so in terms of support for that, we host meetups about technical interview preparation. You can also meet with a career coach to talk through interview prep as well. And then I did list a couple of free online resources that you may want to look into. So Tech Dev Guide is something that Google created, not really just for Google roles, really for anybody that's interested in working kind of in the tech space. So that's a great resource. Pramp and LeetCode can also help you prepare. Also, the other thing that I'll mention is if you go to Atkins Library and go search for like programming interview prep or technical interview prep, you'll be able to see a number of books that you can actually download an electronic version for free. And so you'll get some coding questions and things like that as well through the Atkins Library. So that's also available to you. The other thing that you want to keep in mind when you are going through your interview process is you want to dress professionally. So professional attire is definitely encouraged. And so if you need resources for getting attire, we have a professional clothing closet in our office. And so if it's for an interview or even a class presentation, a networking event, whatever it is, where you're going to be engaged with talking to employers, and the expectation is that you're dressed professionally or business casual or whatnot, we can provide new and gently worn clothing to you. So anywhere from suit jackets to belts, ties, dresses, skirts, whatever it is that you need. So definitely take advantage of the professional clothing closet. Currently, at the time of this recording, our clothing closet is open by appointment only, just because we are still working within kind of COVID restrictions, but normally it's open during our drop-in hours every day. So if you're unable to secure your desired role, these are some ideas that you may want to think about as kind of other options. So you can consider the UPIT program, which is our undergraduate on-campus professional development internship program, where we work with different departments on campus that build internships that allow students to develop certain skills. So you may be able to find a UPIT program that is related. You can also look into micro internships or other project-based work. And so we do have some resources that we can share with you for micro internships. So those could be anywhere from 2 to 4 week project work that are paid, that allows you to actually, build skill sets. So definitely connect with a career coach to learn more about that if that's something that you have of interest. You can certainly consider finding any part-time work to gain work experience and skills. So that could be on or off campus. And Hire a Niner includes on-campus employment as well as other off-campus part-time employment. I would also recommend that you identify programming languages or technologies, tools, any projects that you can kind of teach yourself when you have downtime, using coding practice sites like Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, Springboard. These are all sites that provide free resources. And so if you have downtime and you're trying to build skill sets that maybe you don't have yet and you want to learn, get ahead, whatever the case may be, that's a great tip. And so you can look into those offerings. You may also want to consider undergraduate research with a faculty member in CCI or doing your own project. So if you're not really sure about that, I would say reach out to your advisor or talk with a CCI professor that you have a class with. We also have an undergraduate research office that helps connect students to undergraduate research opportunities. So research experience can be really great too, in addition to internships. So it's something that you can consider. And then also you may consider identifying unpaid opportunities that could aid in your skill and professional development. So if you're just trying to build experience, maybe an unpaid internship, for example, might be something that you can look into. And so on that same token, want to talk about our summer internship scholarship that we provide for students. So if you are going to be doing a summer internship and it happens to be unpaid, which most time you all will find paid internships as a computer science student. But just for example, let's say you decide you want to do an internship with a nonprofit organization and they're unable to pay you, you can apply for funding through our summer internship scholarship. So we're really, really grateful in our office to be able to provide these opportunities. So it is an application that is normally due in early April. So the deadline kind of depends on each year, but it's just something that I want you to keep in mind, because we do have this as an option where we can help fund your internship. And so if you have to also, work and that sort of thing in order to do the summer internship that's unpaid, this might be able to help subsidize some of your costs. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that you can actually apply to get academic credit for your internship. So that's something that you may also want to keep in mind. So talk with your academic advisor about the UCall 3410C career development internship for computing and informatics. So this is an option that we offer students within CCI. So you can find more information about that process and what it looks like on our website. But if it's something that you're interested in, talk to your academic advisor and see if it fits within, your plan. because it can count as a technical elective. So that's also just kind of another benefit that you have. And there is a class that's associated with it, and that's how you get your academic credit, but it's an online class. I actually teach the class. And so you do activities throughout the class that just kind of help support what you're doing in your internship. I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of our career guide, which is a really awesome resource that you have available to you. It's a comprehensive guide, and we cover all aspects of the career development and job search process. And so you can download the career guide on our website at career.uncc.edu, and then you'll have access to it on your computer. So make sure that you're connected with us. So if you've never been to our office physically, we are located in Atkins. So we're on the right-hand side of the library. So if you're looking at Atkins and you're in front of the Collard building, then you'll see us on the right. There's a big sign that says University Career Center. We have flags, big green flags that are also outside our office, so you really can't miss us. But please connect with us in person or online if that's what you're most comfortable with. Career.uncc.edu, again, is our website. And then we're also on social media. So we have a very robust YouTube channel with a lot of videos that we've recorded with employers, meetups, presentations, those sorts of things. And then our handle is @NinerCareers. So make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Facebook if you have a Facebook account, and then definitely Instagram. And so that's all that I have for you today. So hopefully this was beneficial. But again, please reach out to either myself or Jesse Simonic if we can support you in your internship search.